Thank you. Thank you. I was 6 weeks ago made it clear that I was not going to dignify what I think is a political charade and be part of Netanyahu's next campaign commercial like his last appearance was. Nothing that I heard as I watched the speech on television suggests that the majority of the Israeli people who thought it was a mistake for him to come, or the majority of Americans who think it is a mistake to go through this exercise. I saw nothing to suggest that they were wrong. And I think as our friends in the news media do the deeper dive, as suggested by Jan, by Lloyd, I've listened to Netanyahu. I've been in Congress 19 years, back to when he first came. I've listened to his alarmist predictions. I listened to him cheerlead for the United States' greatest single blunder in our history, the Iraq War, that cost trillions of dollars and hundreds of thousands of lives, and the extent to which he's accurate that somehow Iran controls now 4 countries. And I think there's some question about that. But the extent to which they have outsized influence, it's a direct result to that disaster and his flawed judgment. He suggests that there is no alternative. Listen carefully to that speech and go back and listen to it. He gave no alternative, just having a series of demands. Nothing that suggests that it would have any greater success. I think people ought to challenge his assumption that Iranians and Americans will always be enemies. Now think about that. All of my friends who visited Iran as private citizens are struck by how friendly and outgoing Iranians are. All of us represent people from Iran who are here in the United States and who are not necessarily friends of the regime. But they reject that category, that there can't be warmer relations between our countries. Surveys tell us that Iran is the only country in the Middle East where the majority of people, average normal people, still have positive feelings toward the United States. And we have a rich history of cooperation with the Iranian people dating back well over a century. But I was struck that the Prime Minister took all this time to come all this way, all the pomp and circumstance. I listened very carefully. There was not one word from the Prime Minister about how he would deal with his failure to move his country forward with a peace process with the Palestinians. Some of us were in Israel recently. The majority of Israelis favor a negotiated settlement and moving things forward. Prime Minister Netanyahu repeatedly has failed in that objective and had not one word about what he would do any differently. He's lecturing us about how we ought to conduct ourselves in the future when we have unparalleled progress with the potential of negotiations with 5 major countries aligned with us. And who thinks they're going to continue to be with us if we take his hard line and try and go it alone? I'd respectfully suggest this was a mistake. I'd respectfully suggest that Congress ought to take a deep breath, exhale, and allow the administration to see if they can bring this agreement across the finish line. Then they can always go forward with more extreme sanctions or war if they wish. Nothing is lost by attempting to make diplomacy work.